In this video, we are going to talk about two very important and interesting metrics in Google Analytics, and that is bounce rate and time duration. And the reason they are interesting is because most of the time people misinterpret these two matrices. So if you want to learn more about it, then let's dive in. Hi, my name is Ankit and welcome to Magazine 3 YouTube channel where we talk about everything related to WordPress. And if you want to learn more about such videos, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we upload our next video. So in our series of Google Analytics for beginners, in this episode, we are going to talk about bounce rates and time duration. So let's first talk about bounce rates. Now for your WordPress website, once you log in the Google Analytics panel, you will see all the page views, maybe your unique pages and average time on page. And you also have a section called bounce rate. So this is where you will find the bounce rate of your website. Now let's talk about the misconception, and with that you will also understand what actually bounce rate is. So when we talk about bounce rate, normally people think that a visitor is coming on the WordPress page or any website page and they just go back maybe on the search result or just close the page instantly. So this is something bad and this should be called as bounce visitor. What actually bounce rate is, it's the percentage of sessions where a visitor only view the one single page on your website. And that's what all about bounce rate is. Now you see the metrics of bounce rate, but it doesn't tell you anything about the good or bad or how a user or a visitor is performing on that page. You don't have to consider bounce rate as bad always, because these are just data and these are just metrics. You need to understand the context of these metrics to make a better decision out of it. So let's consider an example of a website like Daily Horoscope. So in that website, they daily update that page, which is only relevant for that particular day. And now consider a visitor coming maybe from the search engine, maybe from the social media, or maybe newsletter or any XYZ source. They land on the Daily Horoscope page. And once they consume the information, they just close that page or maybe just go back in the search result. So technically that visitor is actually considered as bounced. But we need to understand the context here, that whatever information the visitor wants to collect from that website is right on that page. And that visitor may not require any other information, so he can just close that tab or maybe just click on back button. Let's consider another example where you have created a WordPress theme or any kind of freebie that people can search in Google and maybe from your social media or from any other place. They come on that page and you have the download button right in the first viewport of that screen, and people can just click on download and they are able to download that file, and that's it. They can just close that page right there and go back in search result or maybe in a blank window of browser. That is actually also considered as bounced visitor, and that is a bounce page. But still we need to understand the context that the visitor was coming on that page. The main motive of that visitor on that page is to download whatever available on that page, and once that is done, the main motive of that page is fulfilled and user can go ahead and close that page or maybe just click back. So when someone says that high bounce rate is bad for your website, it's not actually every time true. But in case, let's consider another example. We have an e-commerce website and people land on the product page from the maybe Google search result or maybe from any source. They spend a lot of time there and they do not do any purchase or do not click on add to cart. Then it's a problem that you need to look in, why people are not going any further on your website and why they are getting bounced. So that is how you need to understand the context of bounce rates and take actions accordingly. So this is all about bounce rate, and it's not always bad, and you just need to understand the context of when this bounce rate is happening and then take the decisions for your website. Now let's talk about another very important and interesting metrics, that is time duration. So in the previous video of this series, we have covered how Google Analytics capture timestamps and how Google Analytics calculate the session for your various pages on your website. So in order to understand time measurement or time duration in Google Analytics, let's go ahead and take another example. So if we define time duration or time spent or time measurement in Google Analytics, it's nothing but the difference between two timestamps. So let's talk about an example so that we can understand it better. So we have a visitor who lands on a page at 9 and then he moves on to the next page at 9:10, and then he moves on to the next page at 9:20, and then next page at 9:30, and at 9:40 that visitor is out of our website. So whenever this visitor is navigating or moving from one page to another, we know that a different timestamp is getting captured in Google Analytics cookie, and this is making a complete session of that particular visitor. So if we need to calculate the time duration for the first page, it will be the timestamp of page number 2 minus the timestamp of page number 1. So we can easily say that the time duration of page number 1 is 10 minutes and the time duration of page number 2 is again 10 minutes. Same goes with the page number 3. The time duration for this page is 10 minutes. But when we talk about the last page, we can see that the visitor was on that page at 9:30 and at 9:40 the visitor was out of the website. And at 9:40 there was no timestamp created because at that time visitor was not on any page. The visitor was not creating any new timestamp, and because of that the last page of our website will have time duration of 0 minutes. Now that might sound confusing, but that's how Google Analytics will capture the time for this last page. So whenever we talk about the time duration of last page any visitor visit on your website, it's always 0 minutes because time duration is always calculated as the difference between the two timestamps. And once the visitor is on the last page, then there is no new timestamp created which we can calculate the difference from. So that's why for the last page, your time duration is always 0. Now if you go in your Google Analytics and check the time duration of your bounce pages, you will mostly see that all these pages have time duration of almost 0 minutes because the user or the visitor is coming on a single page and he is not visiting any further page on your website. A new timestamp was never created. So the time duration for the pages which are bounce pages, time duration for these pages is always almost 0 minutes. So that's how bounce rate and time measurement is done in Google Analytics, but we need to understand the context carefully and take the decisions accordingly. So if you like this video, then make sure you hit the like button, and to learn more about Google Analytics, you can watch our series of Google Analytics for beginners. The link is in the I button above and the video description below. So you can go ahead and watch rest of the series videos there. And if you want to get notified with the next video of this series, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we upload our next video. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.